A sniper is on a nearby rooftop for a mission to rescue a school bus under a terrorist threat. The terrorist, wearing a bomb jacket, grabs a young girl. But despite the clear danger, the sniper, Kim Seolwa, is told by his commander not to shoot. As the situation worsens, Seolwa ignores orders and moves closer to the bus. When the terrorist threatens to set off the bomb, Seolwa takes aim and finally shoots him in the head. For disobeying, he's arrested under military law. But Seolwa isn't worried, seeing the hostage safe is all that matters to him. In the interrogation room, he surprises his superiors by tricking a lie detector. Asked about his age, he claims he's 400 years old, and to the interrogator's shock, the machine says he's telling the truth. This shows Seolwa's ability to control his body's reactions, impressing his superiors, Don Hyun and Deputy Director Jang. They decide to recruit him as a ghost, a secret Black Ops agent with fake identities for covert missions. Soon, Seolwa starts taking on international missions under various aliases. One day in Budapest, Seolwa is pretending to be a professor with a target, one of his students, Anna. He calls her by her real last name during a lecture, which nobody should know, sparking her interest. This starts a love story that Seolwa uses to get close to Anna. They fall in love and even get engaged. But Seolwa's real interest is Anna's father, a mafia boss who used to work in Hungary's secret police. During a meeting, the mafia boss insults Seolwa in Hungarian, assuming he can't understand it. Surprising him, Seolwa replies fluently in Hungarian, hinting at his real identity. He confidently states they'll keep the truth from Anna because he doesn't want to hurt her. But this bold move puts him in a tight spot. Soon after, the mafia boss's men confront Seolwa in an alley. They taser him, and he wakes up cuffed in a basement, handed a prison uniform. It turns out this was part of Seolwa's plan, to use the mafia boss's influence to get into prison, where his old acquaintance, Petrov, is held. Seolwa needs to help Petrov, who knows him as K, escape. Inside, Seolwa makes a small explosive and places it in the fuse box. He also creates a key for his cell door using a mold from Petrov. On the escape night, he jams his cell lock with wet tissue so it won't relock. Later, a guard unknowingly triggers the wire, causing the fuse box to explode and the prison lights to go out. In the darkness, Seolwa opens his cell and shoots a hook with a wire to Petrov's cell, passing him the key. Petrov unlocks his cell, and they're both free. With guards chasing them, they run to the underground mine used by inmates for work, jumping into a mine cart to escape. Other inmates see the chance to flee through a nearby well, finding freedom. Petrov heads back to Russia, and the mission is complete, knowing that a lover's betrayal can be deadlier than a bomb. Seolwa ends things with Anna in a unique way. He asks her to meet him by his car, then sets it on fire, faking his own death. With his mission over, he throws their engagement ring into a river and leaves. Days later, while relaxing at a hotel, a woman with her back turned sits beside him. He notices a strange number on her back, and later sees the same number on his coaster and window, making him suspicious. Then there's a knock at the door. It's his senior, Don Hyun, dressed as a room service attendant. Seolwa expected him. The number was Don Hyun's birthday, a hint he was coming. Seolwa feels annoyed, as it means his vacation is over. It turns out the National Intelligence Service lost contact with one of their ghost agents, Agent Yoon, who was undercover at San, a major South Korean industrial company. The NIS has lost contact with Agent Yoon, who was working undercover at a corporation. They worry that his cover has been blown, and there might be a mole leaking information. So, they ask Seolwa to help. Don Hyun briefs him on the missing agent, sharing that Yoon sent a last text mentioning a cargo container that left Incheon on October 4th. It was carrying 3 special wood carvings. The NIS is tracking the container, but Seolwa must return to South Korea. Back home, he learns the first wood carving is hidden in a Russian arms dealer's safe named Chairman Victor. Victor's security is intense, and Don Hyun warns Seolwa that getting to him won't be easy. Their best chance is through an action star named Wonkwang, who's invited to Victor's secret birthday party. Seolwa gets assigned as Wonkwang's security guard, but Wonkwang and his manager, Doha, aren't fond of him. Doha, a huge fan of Wonkwang, dislikes how Sealwa treats the star. One day, Sealwa notices a mechanic acting suspiciously around Wonkwang's car, which he'll use for a stunt. Later, Wonkwang radios for help, the brakes aren't working and he's lost control. Sealwa quickly grabs a police car to chase after him, and Doha joins him out of concern. Sealwa drives through traffic, catching up just in time, but both cars race toward a dead end. Sealwa steers his car to slow Wonkwang down, stopping him just in time. The crash leaves Wonkwang unconscious, bringing back memories of a past accident that took him months of therapy to recover from. His girlfriend had also left him for a businessman named Mo Sunjae, adding to his pain. Now awake and resting, Wonkwang bonds with Sealwa, sharing his story of betrayal. To attend Victor's party, Wonkwang, Sealwa, and Doha head to Russia, where Sealwa plans to steal the wood carving from Victor's mansion. Don Hyun hands Sealwa a coin that's secretly spy gear. At the mansion, the coin triggers a metal detector, but security allows Sealwa to keep it. Sealwa activates his gear, giving Don Hyun a live view inside. According to the plan, Sealwa needs to act during the 4-minute birthday song while the lights are off for the cake cutting. The coin has a USB he'll insert into the security system, giving Don Hyun control. Soon, Victor invites Wonkwang into his secret room for pictures, but Wonkwang insists Sealwa comes along, saying they're like brothers. This disrupts Sealwa's plan to hack the security, but Victor agrees to let Sealwa join. Inside, Sealwa spots the wood carving thereafter among Victor's artifacts. In a flashback, we see Sealwa had met Major Petrov of Russia, the man he helped break out of prison. Petrov had wanted to capture Victor but lacked proof. Sealwa promised Petrov he'd provide the evidence if Petrov used an EMP to disrupt power. Back in the present, Don Hyun signals Petrov, who orders his team to activate the EMP drone. The drone cuts power, leaving Victor embarrassed in front of his guests. He decides to move ahead with the birthday song. As the lights go off, Sealwa exits the ballroom and heads to the secret room. Sealwa puts on a lens to help spot enemies and moves quickly through the building. He knocks out the guards outside a secret room, opens the vault, and steps into the chamber where the valuable items are kept. Breaking the glass, Sealwa grabs the wooden carving, places his spy gear on it, and leaves it on a balcony. Don Hyun uses a drone to safely collect the carving without being seen by the guards. On his way down, Sealwa runs into more guards, but they don't recognize him in the darkness. With guards coming from both sides, Sealwa jumps off the stairs to avoid them. Doha is looking for him too. When guards come near, Sealwa pulls her close, pretending they are a couple to distract the guards from recognizing him. The plan works, but Doha is angry. She questions Sealwa's actions, but he brushes it off as a mistake and says to ignore it. The lights come back on, and Chairman Victor hears from his guards that the EMP caused the blackout and that the vault was robbed. Victor's guard warns him to leave immediately. Then, helicopters arrive, their lights shining into the building. Soon, Russian soldiers, led by Major Petrov, storm in. As Petrov's men arrest Victor, he exchanges a nod with Sealwa. Mission complete, Sealwa returns to South Korea. While examining the carving, he finds a hidden box with a key inside. The key looks incomplete, and they realize they need parts from 2 other carvings to make a full key. Don Hyun shares that the second carving is with the Thai royal family and will be sent to South Korea for an auction. With the first key in hand, they no longer need Wonkwang's help. Sealwa is relieved to end his job as Wonkwang's bodyguard, since he'd rather be fighting bad guys than babysitting. He first plans to fake his death to part ways with Wonkwang. However, Don Hyun warns that doing so will expose his identity. So, Sealwa decides to act rudely toward the team to make them dislike him and ask no questions. First, he sits in Wonkwang's chair, saying he's tired when asked why. Wonkwang, however, understands, saying people sometimes act grumpy when exhausted. Sealwa kicks the chair and leaves, shocking everyone with his sudden change in attitude. After filming, Sealwa doesn't open the car door for Wonkwang, trying to annoy him, but Wonkwang just thinks he needs rest. When his rudeness doesn't work, Sealwa decides to resign. Wonkwang tries to change his mind by offering a week's vacation, but Sealwa coldly declines. Hearing of his resignation, Doha apologizes, thinking he's leaving because she didn't return his feelings. She says she didn't want him to be hurt in a one-sided relationship. Seolwa, appearing upset, harshly tells Doha he's not interested in women like her. He explains the moment at the party was just curiosity and says she isn't why he's leaving. As Doha tries not to cry, he tells her to forget him and never seek him out. After leaving the cafe, Seolwa receives a call from Don Hyun, who orders him not to resign. Seolwa regrets how he ended things with Doha. Seeking to make up for it, he approaches her and suddenly kisses her. Shocked, Doha pushes him and slaps him. Later, he apologizes, saying he tried to distance himself for her safety but realizes he can't keep away. He decides to stay on the job. Back at headquarters, Don Hyun shares their next mission. To get the second carving, they need a black market auction ring. They learn Agent Yoon's informant, Goldfinger, owns the ring. Surprisingly, Goldfinger is Doha's father, Mim Suk. However, instead of keeping it, Mim Suk gave the ring to Doha, who doesn't know its value. Meanwhile, Assemblyman Baek promises his support to Sun Jae, owner of Songsan Corporation, in the elections. Songsan is also where Agent Yoon worked. Baek vows to help Sun Jae find the carvings, which contain records of Sun Jae's grandfather's hidden funds. Using his contacts, Baek learns that Don Hyun and Seolwa retrieved the first carving. When he hears that Don Hyun will meet someone to deliver it, he sends his hitman, Kichul, to stop Don Hyun. Kichul waits on a rooftop. When Don Hyun arrives, Kichul fires but finds Don Hyun's car is bulletproof. Before Kichul can shoot again, Seolwa hits him in the shoulder from a distance, revealing that Don Hyun planned this to find Yoon's attacker. As Kichul hides, Seolwa covers Don Hyun and Deputy Jang as they go up to catch him. Kichul fires back, setting off an explosion that stops Seolwa's approach. As Don Hyun reaches the roof, Kichul escapes. Seolwa realizes he's the same man he saw near Wonkwang's car on the day of the accident. Later, Don Hyun finds that Kichul's gun is a special forces weapon, making their investigation easier. That night, Seolwa takes Doha out for dinner. She feels comfortable enough to tell him about loan sharks who harassed her during her grandfather's memorial. Her father had borrowed money and disappeared, leaving her to deal with it. Doha says she left her father's ring at her grandfather's resting place, so her father would only find it if he truly changed. But since he hasn't, he still asks her about it, unaware it's near her grandfather's ashes. After putting Doha to bed, Seolwa heads to find the ring. The next day, Seolwa meets Doha's father, who proudly shows off a watch from Sun San Group's president, Sun Jae. Realizing the watch is bugged, Seolwa quickly drops it in water. Sun Jae's men realize they've been caught, fearing Doha's safety. Seolwa rushes out and calls Doha. Seolwa asks where Doha is, and when he finds out she's at the cemetery, he asks if she notices any strange men around. Doha sees 4 men in black suits nearby. Seolwa quickly tells her to go to the restroom and reminds her not to lose the coin he gave her because it's his way of tracking her. He warns her that she's about to be kidnapped. Before Doha can react, Sun Jae's men grab her, making her unconscious with a cloth soaked in chloroform. When Don Hyun hears about her kidnapping, he suggests calling the police, but Seolwa says that won't work. He's found out that the man who took her is a rogue agent, someone they can't trust the police with. While Don Hyun wants Seolwa to avoid getting involved to protect his cover, Seolwa refuses. The coin he gave Doha is actually a tracker, so he can follow it to find her. He tracks the signal to a port and finds a locked container. When he opens it, he hears a beeping sound. Following the sound, he finds a bomb with a 2-minute timer. Meanwhile, Doha is tied up in a dark room, struggling to escape. Seolwa quickly takes out his pocket knife and tries to defuse the bomb, cutting the white wire. The timer stops for a moment, then restarts. With only 10 seconds left, Seolwa carefully decides and cuts the red wire, stopping the timer for good. Entering the container, he finds only a laptop showing a live video of Doha in another location. He realizes this is a trap, and at that moment, Kichul calls, threatening to kill Doha if Seolwa doesn't deliver a special ring. Furious, Seolwa shoots the laptop in anger. Just then, a SWAT team arrives, thinking Seolwa is the kidnapper. Before they can act, Don Hyun arrives and explains that Seolwa is on their side. The SWAT team secures the area, while Sealwa takes a part of the bomb to investigate. He asks a friend about it, and the friend identifies it as a Russian device only sold by a former master sergeant named Choi, who now sells illegal weapons from a junkyard. Sealwa heads to the junkyard, but Choi refuses to help him. When Choi's men try to force him out, Sealwa fights back, striking Choi and demanding answers. Choi finally admits that he sold the bomb to Kitchell, who works with Congressman Beck's group. Sealwa tells Don Hyun they need to capture Congressman Beck to find Kitchell, but Don Hyun says they lack the evidence. Sealwa then resigns from his agency, NIS, to work alone. At Beck's office, Sealwa takes down the guards and confronts Beck, who, with a gun pointed at him, reveals Kitchell's location. Kitchell calls again, telling Sealwa to bring the ring or face the consequences. When Sealwa returns home to prepare, he finds Woon Kwang there. Woon Kwang says Doha called him for help. Sealwa finally tells him the truth about being a secret agent, and Woon Kwang, angry, punches him but then agrees to help. Woon Kwang reveals his own training and insists on joining the rescue mission. Together, they reach the hideout. Sealwa uses a camera to locate Doha while Woon Kwang takes on the men at the front gate. Pretending to negotiate, Woon Kwang hands over the ring to buy time, demanding to see Doha before he fully complies. Sealwa turns off the monitor and focuses on his mission. Later, he goes to the airport to meet a woman who calls him Agent K. They share a brief hug before preparing for their mission together. That night, Don Hyun scolds Sealwa for acting alone to save Doha. He thinks they're in trouble now that the NIS knows Sealwa's cover. But Sealwa argues it went smoothly since they saved the civilians and kept the ring and wood carving safe. With Kitchell in custody, Sanji decides to distance himself from him, a decision Congressman Beck supports. Sanji wants Beck to become mayor and president to restore their status. Things escalate quickly. Department head Jang is fired, his special funds are frozen, and Don Hyun is arrested for corruption. Doha's father, Mr. Jung Suk, is also arrested for killing an agent investigating Songsan Corporation. It's clear Assemblyman Beck arranged these events. Kitchell is taken to his cell, but he escapes, leaving the guards unconscious. Jang loses his authority and lacks the $5 million Sealwa needs to access the Asian Investment Forum, where the second wood carving is up for auction. Sealwa asks Jang about the mission, but Jang says they must wait. Frustrated, Sealwa seeks help from Woon Kwang for the money. He explains that a successful mission could help prove Mr. Jung Suk's innocence. Though shocked by the amount, Woon Kwang agrees to help, seeing the chance to aid Doha's father. Sealwa signs a contract, agreeing to return as Woon Kwang's bodyguard and protect him. If Sealwa disappears again, Doha can reveal his true identity. On the event day, an older man arrives with the woman from the airport. They meet Chairman Yamato, who plans to buy the wood carving. In the reception area, the man is given a black auction box and keys to a suite. In the hotel room, he removes his mask, revealing Sealwa underneath. Thanks to Sealwa's work, Woon Kwang can now join the bidding. When the wood carving goes up, Woon Kwang places the final bid of 1 billion won. To stop Yamato from bidding higher, Doha distracts him, then activates a device that freezes electronics, stopping Yamato's tablet. With her help, Woon Kwang wins the bid, though he realizes he spent all his money. Doha goes to retrieve the wood carving on the 33rd floor. In the elevator, Kitchell's henchman spots her and alerts NIS agents. Sealwa enters the building and uses the stairs to move unseen. However, he's met by Beck's henchmen. Meanwhile, Doha enters the room but is soon joined by Kitchell. After fighting his way through, Sealwa reaches the 33rd floor, where Kitchell is taking the briefcase. Sealwa intervenes, taking down Beck's men one by one. Kitchell willingly hands over the briefcase to Sealwa, revealing they'd met earlier. In a flashback, Kitchell admits his career is over, and his backers will abandon him. He agrees to help Sealwa if he promises to eliminate someone for him. Back in the present, Sealwa escapes with the briefcase on a motorbike, while Kitchell detonates his car to fake his death. Later, Sealwa meets Kitchell, revealing he's still alive. This plan ensures that Songsan Corporation thinks he's gone. Sealwa tells Kitchell that once all the wood carvings are found, he'll ensure Kitchell stands trial. Surprisingly, Kitchell agrees, ready to face his actions. He even offers information on his family for leverage. With Kitchell's help, Sealwa now has the evidence needed to clear Mr. Jang-suk's name. Sealwa opens the hidden compartment in the wood carving and retrieves the second key. Woon Kwang almost faints seeing the broken artifact, realizing he spent all his savings on it. Sealwa gives him both keys, letting him sell them to recover his $4 million out of $5 million. Sealwa updates department head Jang on his deal with Kitchell and gives him proof of Agent Eun's killer. When he asks about the third wood carving, he's surprised to learn the NIS director is in charge of it. Reviewing the CCTV footage of Agent Eun's murder, Sealwa sees that Eun was putting a book on a shelf when he was attacked. Investigating, he finds a book with blank pages and realizes it holds a hidden message. Meanwhile, NIS agent Jip Choi visits Woon Kwang, looking for Sealwa, now labeled a terrorist after being seen near the recent explosion. Drowsy, Woon Kwang nearly reveals Sealwa's location, but Dubo wakes him, reminding him they don't know any terrorists. While answering the agent's questions, Dubo secretly warns Sealwa not to come to Woon Kwang's house. Later, Sealwa meets with Woon Kwang and delivers bad news. Sealwa owes him $1 million, which he requested from the director, but Assemblyman Beck is targeting the director, freezing their special funds. Dubo and Woon Kwang feel let down, but Sealwa promises to arrange the money soon, offering himself as collateral in the meantime. Sealwa and Woon Kwang then spend some relaxing time together, using face masks and talking about life. Meanwhile, Woon Kwang's ex, Mi-yoon, who is now married to Sun Jae, advises Sun Jae to work with the younger and more honest department head Jang instead of the corrupt Congressman Beck. Sun Jae dismisses the idea, but Mi-yoon suggests offering Jang what he wants, the power to bring down Beck and his group. Sun Jae considers the idea and arranges a meeting with Jang. Initially, Jang hesitates, but he eventually agrees, provided Sun Jae delivers Beck and his group. In exchange, Jang will give Sun Jae the 2 keys from the wood carvings, though they still need the third carving to complete the deal. Jang soon gets photos of Beck with Kitchell, a criminal agent. Beck, however, boldly tells Jang that no one can bring him down. Meanwhile, Sealwa uses a chemical to reveal hidden writing in the blank book. He finds a series of numbers that look like dates and decodes them, realizing that Robert Yoon often visited a specific cathedral on Mondays, with a reference to Revelation 12 verse 7. Sealwa and Doha visit the cathedral, where they meet Father Michael. Using coded language, they gain the priest's trust. When asked who Agent Yoon met in the cathedral, Father Michael reveals it was Jang. On the last day, Jang brought Don Hyun along as well. Meanwhile, Chairman Victor acquires the last wood carving and travels to South Korea to complete a deal with Sun Jae. In return, he demands that Sealwa take revenge on him. Sealwa meets with Jang to hand over the 2 keys, and Jang says he's close to obtaining the third one. During their meeting, Sealwa asks if Jang is working with Sun Jae. Jang retorts that if he were, he wouldn't need Sealwa's keys. Sealwa explains that working together is the fastest way to get the third key. Just then, a convoy surrounds them, and Jang suddenly shoots Sealwa in the stomach. Sealwa falls into the river, bleeding from his wound. As he floats, memories of Doha give him strength. He wakes up and swims to shore, seeking help. He turns to Kitchell for aid. Kitchell, surprised, asks why Sealwa trusts him, as he could kill him and walk free. Sealwa explains that Kitchell wants revenge on those who abandoned him. Kitchell removes the bullet, revealing it missed vital organs, suggesting Jang wanted him alive. Meanwhile, Victor and Sun Jae get news that Sealwa is dead and are pleased. Due to the deal, Don Hyun is released from jail. When he asks about the wood carving mission, Jang tells him it's over and that he'll personally handle getting the third carving. Suspicious of Jang's claims, Don Hyun follows him to Sun Jae's office. There, Jang meets with Sun Jae to secure the third key. With all 3 keys, Sealwa combines them to make a single key. By examining small holes in the keys, Mr. Jang decodes them into numbers and finds the coordinates of the slush fund at the San warehouse. Meanwhile, Don Hyun pretends to be a janitor and discreetly shoots a tracker onto Sun Jae's car to follow him. Mr. Jang and Sun Jae arrive at the warehouse and unlock the door, revealing billions of expensive artifacts, paintings, and most importantly, old videotapes from Sun Jae's grandfather. But some tapes, likely those incriminating Assemblyman Baek, are missing. Suddenly, Don Hyun arrives with a warrant to seize the items. Both Mr. Jang and Sun Jae are taken to the prosecutor's office for questioning. Don Hyun is sure Sun Jae won't escape this time. But Sun Jae's wife brings out a project plan between the NIS and Sun San Corporation. She explains that Sun San was to provide tapes about Chairman Mo's slush fund, which was intended to be donated to society. Her evidence clears Sun Jae, forcing Don Hyun to drop the case. Meanwhile, Seolwa goes back to his hideout, where Do-ah takes care of him as he rereads Agent Yoon's book. Seolwa finds another clue. If it isn't the Lord's will, he will guide you. Realizing this could lead him to the missing tapes of Congressman Baek, Seolwa heads to the slush fund storage with Don Hyun. There, he finds a painting that matches a verse from Yoon's book. Seolwa cuts the sides of the painting, revealing a floor plan of the Sun San building. The 58th floor VIP lounge stands out, marked with diagrams of the keys. Seolwa sneaks into the building to search, but radio interference blocks his scans. Suddenly, someone enters. It's Mi-yeon. When she asks why he's there, Seolwa says he's looking for Chairman Baek's missing tapes, per Agent Yoon's orders. He calls her a fellow ghost agent, and she doesn't deny it. It's revealed that Mr. Jang enlisted Mi-yeon to act as Seolwa's guard. Mi-yeon confesses that Agent Yoon, her handler, helped her leave acting to bring down Sun San by marrying Sun Jae. This forced her to leave her true love, Woon Kwon. She also reveals that, besides the tapes, records of the first-generation ghost agents are missing. This was what Agent Yoon was searching for until his death. To help, she gives Seolwa Chairman Mo's will, sealed with a dragon design. Seolwa reads the will. One seeking money will fail, one seeking power will die. All goes to my grandson, Sun Jae. With nothing strange about it, he recalls Father Michael's advice about the path in the word. Seeing Chairman Mo's portrait in the VIP lounge, Seolwa realizes there's more to it. Seolwa examines the portrait, thinking the will's wording means there's something hidden behind it. He removes the painting, revealing a safe with 3 keyholes. Using the combined key, Seolwa opens the safe, finding the missing tapes and documents about the first-generation ghost agents. He hands the safe's contents to Don Hyun, asking him to check the dragon design's significance. Satisfied with completing his mission, Seolwa visits Doha but receives a disturbing call. His expression darkens as he answers, realizing something is very wrong. Meanwhile, Don Hyun calls the NIS director to report the tapes and ghost agent information. The director orders him to deliver the bag to a black car across the street. As Don Hyun crosses the street, he's hit by a truck. Hearing of the accident, Mr. Jang rushes to the hospital, finding Don Hyun in critical condition. Mr. Jang then contacts Seolwa, who is already investigating the accident scene. Tire marks suggest the driver deliberately tried to kill Don Hyun, making it clear this wasn't an accident but a murder attempt. Meanwhile, the NIS director opens a case on his desk, revealing a rifle decorated with a dragon carving, a gift from Chairman Mo. This confirms the director is the mole who exposed Agent Yoon. Heartbroken, Seolwa remembers time spent with Don Hyun, breaking down over his best friend's condition. Later, the director meets with Sun Jae, revealing his ambition to fill the political gap left by Assemblyman Baek. It's also revealed that the tapes contain proof of the director's illegal activities as a ghost agent. He then vows to eliminate Seolwa and any threats he may pose. But Seolwa isn't ready to give up. Learning the director is the mole, Seolwa makes a plan to take down both the director and Sun Jae once and for all. But Woon Kwon steps in. He warns Seolwa that if he goes through with his plan, the villains will look like martyrs, while Seolwa will be seen as a terrorist. Later, the 3 of them come up with a new plan to expose Sun Jae and director him. Sun Jae is invited to talk about his scholarship program on a live show. With Do-ha's help, they add a laxative to the host's coffee, making him too sick to attend. Woon Kwon steps in as a replacement host, and since the show is live, the director can't cancel it. With Sun Jae unable to object, The director agrees to let Wonkwon host. As the show begins, Seolwa, disguised as a worker, secretly attaches a microphone to Sun Jae's coat. He tells Sun Jae that the microphone has an explosive that will go off if he presses a remote button. Seolwa warns him to answer the questions truthfully to avoid the bomb. As the show starts, Wonkwon quickly asks Sun Jae why he tried to kill him twice, and he plays a recording of Sun Jae's assistant ordering the hit. Sun Jae denies knowing about his assistant's actions. Meanwhile, Director Im is in Sun Jae's office when he gets a call from Seolwa. Seolwa warns him that if he hangs up, a bomb under the table will go off. Back at the show, Wonkwon's next question reveals that Sunsan's foundation is actually a slush fund, not a real charity. Wonkwon also asks about Dong Hyun's accident and who was behind it. Feeling pressured, Sun Jae admits it was NIS Director Im. Wonkwon asks for proof, and Sun Jae shows a USB drive, saying it has evidence of Director Im's misdeeds. Shocked, Director Im orders Seolwa to detonate the bomb to kill Sun Jae and destroy the evidence. When asked about his attempt to kill Dong Hyun, Director Im claims it was for the country's good, saying exposing the first-generation ghost agents would be disastrous. Seolwa reluctantly presses the button, but the bomb doesn't go off. Instead, the cover of the LCD screens in Sun Jae's office is removed, revealing that CCTV cameras recorded Director Im's confession. Furious, Director Im yells at the phone, but Mr. Jang arrives and arrests him for his crimes. Assemblyman Baek is also arrested, and Kichul agrees to testify against him. Miraculously, Dong Hyun is recovering. Department head Jang visits him and tells him he's being awarded the Medal of Honor for his role in protecting the nation. Meanwhile, Seolwa is living a normal life with Doha. But his problems aren't over. Petrov surprises him with news about a group called Red October rising again. Petrov reveals that everyone from their last mission, except them, has disappeared, meaning they need to leave the country and hide until things settle down. Before Seolwa leaves, Doha gives him a coin to help her track his location. Seolwa tells Doha not to wait for him and leaves the country. But Doha never stops thinking about him. After a year or two, Seolwa gets a message from Petrov saying the Red October mission is complete. In South Korea, Doha checks Seolwa's location on her phone. When the blinking red light suddenly disappears, she worries at first, but then she realizes it might mean Seolwa is coming back. As the series ends, Wonkwon gets a new bodyguard, but he's not thrilled about it.